Hi there, it's Sandra from the Schwowin's Nest. Welcome to my channel. I found this sweet little metal milk can. It was a Lindt chocolate holder and it's so cute. I just thought it just needs a really fun farmhouse makeover and something classic. So I'm giving it a couple of coats of my DIY chalk paint. It had a lid on it that would snap shut all the way. I had an idea to flip it over and make it look more like the top of a milk can. I'm going to paint it black. In true Sandra style, I missed hitting the record button when I added some of those enamel look lines to it. I just used my Craft Smart black paint pen to do that, and then I glued the lid right on top of the can. Now I'm adding this cute little Farm Fresh milk sign. I love the round border on it. I think it's absolutely adorable. I will have this down in my description box on my website as a free printable. What I'm going to do next after I get it all smoothed out is just give the whole can a nice coat of Mod Podge. This is probably my favorite project today. I hope you like it too. My video today is in collaboration with a sweet creator named Brenda over at Monner's Market. I need you to go over there and check out her channel. She does some amazing farmhouse DIYs, and you've got to see it. I'm trying to help her grow her channel, so if you can go over and like her video, that will get her noticed more on YouTube. And if you really like what she's doing, hit that red subscribe button and help her channel grow. Project number 2 is using this thrifted $3.99 tray. I believe it was used as a cutting board because there's tons of cut marks on it. I'm going to use my 60 grit sandpaper on a sanding block and I'm going to sand the bejeebies out of it. I want to make sure that I get a lot of those cut marks off, and in so doing, I'll be able to get a lot of the gunk off as well if there was any food residue on there, which I don't think there was, but I'm just going to keep on working it until I feel that it's nice and smooth. When you're working with thrifted items, especially wood pieces, you want to make sure that they are prepped appropriately. You don't know what is on there, if it's varnish, if it's mineral oils, anything like that. Sand it, clean it up really good, and then you'll be guaranteed that whatever you're doing to it, especially with paint, will stick. I'm going to give this a couple of good coats of white chalk paint. When I'm doing second coats, I like to turn the piece so I'm doing the paint strokes in the opposite direction of the original way. This is called cross hatching, and it really helps to fill in any of the brush strokes from the first coat and gives you a beautiful even coat of paint. I want to give this piece a farmhouse style, so I'm going to do some traditional grain sack striping. The first thing I do is put a piece of painter's tape down, and that will be my center thick line. Then I put some painter's tape on either side of that line and pull the first one off. Make sure that your painter's tape is stuck down really good where the paint is going to be, because you don't want any bleed through. Now, I like my things distressed, so if there's a little bit of bleed through, I really don't mind that look. I'm using a dollar store makeup sponge and some black chalk paint, and I'm going very lightly with the paint, but then going over the painted portion a couple of times to make sure I have a nice solid line. And the reveal, oh my gosh, I don't know what it is about that, but it's always the best part. Now that the black stripe is totally dry, I'm going to go ahead and put the painter's tape on about a quarter of an inch of a white gap there, and then I'll create another stripe with another piece of painter's tape. I'll repeat this process on the other side as well. When I pulled my painter's tape up, I did pull off a little bit of the black paint, so I'm just taking a paintbrush and filling it in. I wanted to show you a fail. So I cut this word hello out on my Cricut with black permanent vinyl, and I wanted to stick it on here just to make things easier on my hands so I wouldn't have to actually write this whole word in and fill it in. But because I don't wait long enough for the paint to cure, this doesn't stick. So I ended up having to pull it off, ditching it completely because it had so much paint residue on the back that it just was not going to stick. And then I went back to my pencil and Craftsmart paint pen and just duplicated the word. I like to do what's called shadow lines, at least that's what I call it, around my letters just to give them a little bit more dimension. So I'm just using a fine point Sharpie pen and I'm just going to go along the left side of each of the letters. I'm going to add some greenery to the bottom of the sign and I want it to be a little off center. So I'm putting it in the middle of the thickest grain sack stripe. I'm just using these little stems that I take apart. I never use any of my florals still on the original stems. I cut off all the little branches and that just makes it so much easier to plan out what you want to do. I also like to blend different types of greenery. So I've got this little, I don't even know what this one is called. It's probably a little bit of a boxwood and it has a little bit of that whitish tone to it. So I really love the color. And then I'm also going to add just this rich green eucalypt. It adds more texture. I was so excited when I went to Michael's the last time. They had a bunch of these ticking stripe ribbons. I got a couple of them in black. I got one in like a moss green, and then a couple of them in sort of a khaki color. Absolutely gorgeous. They usually don't have them when I'm looking, at least they're probably sold out whenever I go. So I decided to grab a whole bunch. I'm making a really simple bow. I've just folded the fabric over a couple of times and hot glued it down so I get these little loops. Then I'm just going to hot glue all of the loops together until I get what I like. I'm also going to add a couple of tails to the bow, which I am going to dovetail at the ends, as you see me doing here. And I also decided to use a little loop on the top of the sign so you could hang it like that. I really love how this guy turned out, and I'm hoping that someone will purchase it for their home. Not all projects need to be detailed and have so many steps to them. This one is going to be super easy. It's an IKEA jug that I picked up for $2. I'm going to take some painter's tape and put it all the way around as evenly as I can from right underneath the handle. Using Folk Art Parisian Grey chalk paint, I'm going to paint just the bottom of the jug all the way around. I'm also going to include the bottom of it just because that will make it look more consistent with something that is not made over and possibly was actually made that way from the beginning. I've added some more paint into my little bucket here and I'm now adding some baking soda. If you've ever worked with folk art home decor chalk paint, it is super thick. So when I started mixing this, I did need to squirt in probably about a tablespoon of water or so just to get the consistency I needed because it was so thick with the baking soda added into it. When you add baking soda to any type of paint, you've got to mix for a really long time and don't panic if it doesn't get together and blend right away. It will come together. You've just got to be patient and keep stirring. This is the brush I like to use. I call it my round chippy brush. It looks like a chalk paint brush, but it actually has chip brush bristles. So that just means that the bristles are a little tough. They're not as soft and smooth as normal brushes. This helps me to get extra texture. I'm getting texture from the baking soda, but also from the stippling and the type of brush that I'm using. I love to use this for concrete. I've also used it just for adding texture just with regular chalk paint, and it works out really well. If I can find a link to this type of brush, I'll leave it down in the description box. I'm also going to be adding this paint texture to the bottom of the picture. Again, it just makes it look more cohesive and more professional looking. Here's that tape removal again. Oh my gosh, just love when it comes off and it's exactly how you envisioned it. I really love this picture. I'm not going to do anything else to it. I think it's perfect the way it is. This last project is even easier than the one before. I got this sweet little chicken or rooster. I think it's a chicken from the thrift store. I think it was $1.99. I'm going to give it a couple of coats of white chalk paint and leave it alone. It has so much texture in it, and you can see that being brought out with the paint. I didn't want to do any distressing to it. I just liked the plain white look of it when it was complete. Thanks for watching my thrift flips today. I wanted to let you all know that I do sell my items mostly on Facebook Marketplace because I don't have room for them in my home and I don't change out my decor every time I create something new. I'm hoping to help other people decorate their homes with a farmhouse style too. If you like this kind of content, please hit that subscribe button and stick around. For those of you who are already with me, thank you so much. I so appreciate your support. Don't forget to go down to Brenda's channel and check out her video too. Thanks again. See you in the next one.